All right, welcome back to My Mom's Basement. We are here with Simple Plan minus Pierre. How are you guys doing? You're in New York City for the day. We were just talking, you're playing Pier 17 tonight. You've got Stone Pony shows coming up. How are you?
We're excited.
We're
It's
good.
going to be a really nice weekend. We're stoked. We've been looking forward to this show for so long. It was supposed to happen in May, and we had some little issues, but now we're finally here doing it, and we love playing in the city, and I love being here. So, yeah, this is going to be a nice weekend.
Do you remember your first time playing in New York?
Probably. I want
I
to
do.
say the first New York show we ever did was like playing for the label in the label lobby, let's say. So it's just like maybe like 12 employees that didn't care, and us and tiny amps, and like trying to. That was like our
Is
first
that
trip.
so awkward? Like people
It
watching
was the
you play
weirdest
like that?
thing ever.
Yeah.
It was just so weird. But what was the actual
I
real
think it
show?
was. I think we play at the Bowie Ballroom, if I remember
Oh, that was
correctly.
But that was
sick.
our show, wasn't it?
right. But I think it was one of the first shows
Yeah.
we ever played in.
Did
New
we
York
ever open
City.
up for maybe Sugar Ray here on the first tour?
No, I don't think
I don't
so.
think so either.
No,
Yeah, so that was
even
it,
the
you're right.
Boston, we didn't come here. So I think it was Bowie Ballroom, and we headlined it, and we had like a little following already, but it was very core. And I remember we had this review in New York Post that was like, I don't know what the guy was thinking, but he's like, oh, these guys are the next, like, I don't know, the Clash and the Beatles. It was like, I framed it how good it was. I was like, man, this is the best review ever.
That's awesome. And this new album, Harder Than It Looks, I love. I think it's a really, really great album.
Thanks, man.
When
Thank
did
you.
it start coming together? Because I heard an interview where you guys said the first track was actually written like pre-COVID. So it had to be
Oh, most of
The
it
whole
was
thing.
actually
All
the
of
whole
it
thing.
Yeah.
we was
Wow.
written and recorded before the pandemic. Yeah, we
Wow.
finished it literally in February
February.
2020, a few weeks before the whole world changed.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of had a whole record, and we were so proud of it, so happy with it. We were like, okay, what do we do? Do we throw this out right now with the whole world being upside down? I mean, it was a different time. Like, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
people were. And we always felt like we love touring. We love playing shows. We want to connect with our fans, and we really felt the record was. We were really proud of it, and we wanted people to hear it the right way. So we just decided to hold on. And
In hindsight, everybody was just talking about COVID, so maybe it was a good idea to hold on to the
Yeah,
record for a little
I mean,
bit.
it's,
That's
you
all
know-
you heard about for like
Yeah.
2 years, really.
everything happens for a reason. We started like to put out songs last fall, and it's been really great. We've been able to go back on the road and play these songs for our fans and meet them again. And I think it kind of worked out perfectly. But yeah, we had them for a long time.
What was your favorite song on the record to write and record? And then has it changed, like, your favorite song to play now that you've actually gotten to tour with it?
I really like Congratulations. That's one of the ones that I enjoyed recording and definitely playing live. It's got a lot of great energy, and yeah, that's my favorite. What about you?
I'd say Ruined My Life for me, and it's pretty cool too because we have Derek from Sum 41 collaborating on it, and it's a kind of a cool story because there's been a feud between. It's not really a big feud, sort of jealousy-driven feud, over the years. And it's funny. I spoke with the guys. We're touring with them now.
Yep.
And I spoke with the guys. I'm like, what the hell was that? They're like, well, you.
Yeah, we
guys-
should have toured with them a long
I
time
know the
ago.
guys were
It's
like,
crazy.
you were talking shit about us, we were talking shit about you, so it kind of like escalated, and it's been 20 years, so it's kind of cool after all these years that we're basically mature enough now to get together and make music, and I think that song came out really good, and Derek has a cool part in it. So I've always loved that song, and it's still a great song to play live. But Iconic is a really, really cool track live.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was
stole-
gonna say
I
that's
stole your
probably
fire,
I was gonna say that's probably the one I'm the most excited about. It has that kind of like anthem, like sports kind of vibe to it, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's
You really wanted to plug sports, didn't you?
we're here and we had to write the song to be on the show.
Yeah. No, you could see that one like on an NHL commercial. In a
It
boxing
was. We were in
movie.
the playoffs
Oh,
last
well, that
spring,
makes
so
sense.
and that's kind of the whole idea, and like we're hoping that there'll be like the song will be used for more of the sort of sports property because I'm a big sports fan, so that's why we wrote the song.
What's your number one sport?
I would say that I follow seriously. I can't say one, but I would say hockey.
Yep.
And tennis and golf. Those
Chuck,
are
we
my
spoke
three.
about this. No sport talk
I
today.
know, sorry.
Like
Hockey-
you can't do it, right?
I know. But I grew up playing hockey, and I'm from Montreal, Canada. So obviously this is like, it's like religion over there.
Yeah.
And so that was my sport when I was a kid. But then as I got older, tennis and golf, I've gotten like I'm super passionate about them. So Pierre also plays golf, so we go on tour together,
Oh,
and we
nice.
actually play. But nobody plays tennis in the band, so that really sucks. I wish that I could change
You're
that.
just playing against a wall all day.
Yeah,
Well, when
like
there's a
a
ping pong
Forrest
table
Gump.
backstage.
Oh, yes.
That's when I get it. I
Okay.
get
Sebastian
part
is
of the mix.
very, very, very good.
I've got
ping
good
pong.
defense. So like whenever those guys smash it in my face, I just return it and they're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
Pierre and I and Sebastian, we actually brought, like, Jeff doesn't play that much, but we brought a table on tour, on a big arena tour, and we played every single day, sometimes up to like 5 minutes before the show. We're like, oh, we gotta go play. Oh, we can't go play. We gotta finish this game. So
I need to break this to you. We actually threw the ping pong tables out.
I know.
So
You threw in the garbage.
We're done. They're in the garbage now.
They had a ping-pong table backstage at Madison Square Garden in the 70s, and my grandfather was like the head stagehand.
Oh, dude, nice.
And we always told stories he told stories to his kids growing up that he beat Gene Simmons in ping pong.
Oh,
and
I
believe it. That's like the most metal.
That's pretty
thing I've
badass.
ever
That's
heard.
really
Yeah.
badass.
And Gene Simmons was
That's
in the
a lot
full
of
get-up
credit.
and everything
Oh,
right before he
wow.
went on
That's
stage.
probably
and
why
everything.
you probably said, it's
Yeah.
because I'm a get-up. That's
It was the
amazing.
boots. They
Yeah.
have like the
The
heels
big, yeah.
high like that, so you can't play ping pong with that. You gotta have running shoes.
Speaking of like hair metal bands and whatnot, I've wanted to ask you guys this forever. You guys wrote Motley Crue's comeback song in
Yes.
2005, "If I Die Tomorrow."
Mhm.
What's the story behind that?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. So we had the song for our album, and we had it, and we felt it was a little too different. It didn't really fit with
This is still not getting in
our
2004.
second record in 2004. So we were making the album with Bob Rock, who made the Black Album for Metallica, Motley Crue Records.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey guys, this song, it's not gonna make the record, right? I'm like, no, probably not. He's like, okay, can I play for some people? I'm like, yeah, of course. So fast forward 5-6 months later, we're in the UK, we're playing a big tour there, and we get a phone call from Bob. He's like, hey, I played your song from Motley Crue, and they love it. They want to do it. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. So it was a single for their greatest hits. It was their comeback song, and I feel like the lyric was, I mean, it was right when The Dirt came out, and and we learned that they pretty much died and like came back to life, and so If I Die Tomorrow just felt like very like on brand for them, and yeah, they've been doing it. I think Nikki Sixx rewrote some of the second verse, and just to make it a bit more like, you know, for them. And yeah, it was kind of a crazy. Who would have thought we would write a song from Motley Crue? But yeah, it was pretty sick, and it's all thanks to Bob.
And I don't
Bob
think
Rock.
your version of it has ever been heard, right?
No, it has not. But maybe we,
See, that's
maybe
really
we should
bugged
put
me.
it out.
Like, can you guys just let me listen to that? You could lock me in a room. I won't leak it or anything. I just
Sure.
want to hear
Deal.
it.
We'll play it
Okay.
for you. We
Okay.
probably have it here somewhere somehow. We'll
It's
play it
quite
for you.
similar to Pierre's voice instead, obviously.
Yes,
you know?
but it's the same
But they
arrangement.
didn't change it too much.
Not that much, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they obviously played the drums on it and they played all the instruments, but it was, but it's still the same. It's a bit slower, actually. They slow it
like
down.
heavier, slower. Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Like slower than a pop punk
With
song.
the
would
big
be.
80-ish snare, you know.
But to be honest, our version was a bit like darker than what we normally do, so it was a bit more kind of rock, big rock kind of version, you know.
There's like some kind of cool like genre bending songs on this album as well. The new album, Anxiety, is one that I would point to.
Sure.
Do you have any like unexpected influences on this record?
I think that I'm trying to think of like a specific band that we listened to a lot. I think for me and Pierre, one of the band that we really liked was Bleachers.
Oh yeah.
During the record, and we would always kind of reference it. There's a song called Slow Motion that has kind of like that 80s sort of vibe to it. So that was one of the band that we kept going back to. That was a bit different from our style. I mean, like we have all the obvious influences, but that one we just kept like in terms of the production and the way that the vocals are done and the arrangements and what kind of instruments they use. That was one band that we really fell in love with and was a big influence on us.
But ever since we did Summer Paradise in 2012, 2011, 2012, I think we kind of just proved to ourselves that, you know, we could try different things, and then that still sounds like Simple Plan. It's not going to be like
there
totally
was some
out of the
reggae,
park.
like Pierre surfs a lot, and he was in San Diego for a long time. So that culture, that kind of like that having some reggae, or even just like the Jack Johnson acoustic-y type stuff, like that kind of became a part of what we do as well. Yeah, so we just like to try to keep things fresh and try different things and take some risk.
But even in the studio, we challenged the songs quite a bit, the arrangements and everything. Anxiety is a good example. You know, it had, I don't know, like 3-4 different versions of it. We even had, I think we recorded it 2 or 3 times, you know, so
we had a lot of trouble figuring out what the arrangement
of that song was, you know, and it kind of gelled at some point in the studio. We got together and we just, you know, tried something, and it really, really worked, you know. But it's oftentimes, you know, it's in the studio that the arrangements kind of get tweaked and changed, but that song in particular really, really changed, and the influence was really just kind of like, we just wanted to make it sound modern, but at the same time keep the Simple Plan sound together. So it's kind of, that's always a challenge, you know. How do you throw back to what the sound of Simple Plan is what you're known for, what people love you for, but at the same time, keep it interesting as a musician, you know? So it's always been that challenge with the band.
And push yourself, also push your
Sure.
fans a little bit.
Yeah.
So that they get out of their comfort zone and they, because like, I think for a band, because it's a catch-22. If you put out the same record, people say, oh, it's boring. It's always the same thing. And then if you put out a record that's too different, it's too different. So it's like striking that balance is really hard. And I think with this record, we really were able to find that sort of, I don't know if it's perfect balance, but it feels like a Simple Plan record. But at the same time, it's like for us, it was exciting to make it because we challenged ourselves and we had fun with it. And I think our fans, it's the most Simple Plan record I think we've ever made, and it's so quintessentially us that was the goal. That was really what we were trying to achieve.
Is that re-recording process in the studio a tedious process? Is it like fun trying to figure it out at this point? Like
It's fun when you actually figure it out.
Yeah.
But
when you nail it, you're happy.
When you're just grinding in the studio, is that like?
But it was
God, how
horrible.
many
Like
versions are you
anxiety.
gonna
We
make?
recorded it. We had a good version of it, but we were not stoked. So by that time, you're like, is the song bad? Or is it, you know, like, and you're
know it's
second
missing
guessing,
something?
but you don't know what.
Yeah.
You know, and you really did your best. You know, you recorded a great version of it, or the best version you think, you know, of that song. So it's always a bit.
It's a bit of a love-hate relationship with the
Yes.
studio for me, because I think when you hear the result at the end, when you're finally happy with it, it's like, oh man, it was all worth it.
Yeah.
But getting there
like
can
getting a
be a
tattoo
bit
or
of a
something.
journey, right? It's but I think the one thing about this band is that we're definitely very, like, we don't give up. We're kind of relentless, and we'll work on it until it feels amazing to all of us. And we can't cheat. We can't be like, oh, it's like an 8 out of 10. It's like, that doesn't fly. It has
But
to
it's
be a 10.
interesting what you said, like a tattoo. A producer of ours, you know, like really early on told us, you know, making a record is a bit like a picture of you in time that you can't judge afterwards. You know, you have to accept it's you then. It's like when you look back at your high school pictures, you're like, what the hell was I wearing, right? But it's still you know, and if you do things with integrity, with, you know, your best heart, your best version of you, obviously, you know, it'll carry on and hold, you know, its
you
value.
try to be as honest and transparent at the moment. Like, this is us right now.
Yeah.
This is the best we could do right now. And, you know, like, and Jeff is right. Like, you might look back and be like, I wish we did things a bit differently in hindsight. But at
And we
the
all
time,
have shitty tattoos. We just hide them better.
This album ends with a really emotional song too, about growing up with like parents split up, having to go to two households. I have a band called Pup Punk here at Barstool, and we're kind of a parody band, and we have a song called Just One Christmas, where we're angry at our parents for never divorcing because we have just one Christmas. So I figured
that
was
passive
like,
aggression,
you
it's
know,
a bitch, right?
Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
It's
we
a
should have
nice
done that.
kind
Now
of
I'm upset we didn't think about
parallel.
that.
We
That's
have our
good.
first big festival ever coming up, October 1st. We're playing Oceans Calling Festival in Maryland. Do you have any advice for a first-time festival player?
Is it outdoors?
It is on the beach, on the boardwalk.
Okay.
Don't wear boots.
I would
Shower
say
before
tall
getting
boots.
there.
I would say, like, okay, the big thing is, like, it's going to be a crowd and there's going to be a lot of different people there, like, that might not know the
I
band.
know, like the Lumineers are headlining our night, like Cage the Elephant, some bands that aren't necessarily. Now we got Jimmy Eat World on our day,
Okay,
so we're
okay.
hoping for some pop punk fans in that way.
So you
'Cause our
gotta
set's
build-
like emo night. We
You
play
got to
mostly
build your
covers.
set list and kind of try to cater to the audience a little bit to adjust. Like,
Definitely.
so for example, like if we play Warped Tour, we'll play some of our fastest, like, you know, more in your face stuff. So I think that's one thing that we try to do.
And something we started doing is we just learn a cover song, a party song that gets people in the mood. And I don't, you know, like halfway through the set, that just brings people back that were maybe like thinking like, okay, maybe I'll have time to get a drink before the next band. It's like, no, here's a song you know. And that
You know what's
usually
nice
works.
is our whole set is basically covers.
Well, there you go.
Now I
There
have
you
a
go.
question.
Then you're golden.
Now I have a question. Do you cover the headliner's songs ahead of time?
you
and
cannot.
kind
I
of-
can't.
you're
See,
not
that's the
allowed,
thing.
right?
I just interviewed Zach from Jimmy Eat World, and I was like, dude, we usually close with the middle. You're kind of screwing us by
Right.
playing on the same day as us,
Yeah.
because now we can't play that.
Yeah,
Or you could
that would
steal a
be-
Lumineer song and pub
That would
punk
be a
it.
Hi ho, yeah.
Right.
That would be
Yeah.
a faux pas. Faux pas, yeah.
That's a no-no, I take it.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just, you know what, just try to make it a party and bring some people on stage. Like if it feels like it's not going well,
Yeah.
just bring somebody up on stage. People
We
are like,
did
"Oh,
that
it's
at
so
our last
cool."
show.
Yeah.
It went so well.
See, there
It
you
went-
go.
So we just played Gramercy, and we just hired
Oh,
a girl
nice.
here at Barstool who has a great voice. And we were like, hey, girl voice. We got new songs just opened up to us.
Yeah.
So we brought her up. We did the Taylor Swift. We did the Olivia Rodrigo.
That's
you know,
good.
the stuff that
If
the
you bring
young
a
people
guest
love.
that always like throw, and also one of the things that we do, get some beach balls, throw them in the crowd.
That's good.
That's
Festival?
really
Yeah.
good.
If a song's not that great, you do a little trick like that.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, they're having so much fun.
We're taking that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like the thing I take from this interview. We're doing beach balls. It's
All
on the
right.
beach.
There you
know
go.
what? Be nice to every band you meet because you'll see them again for
Oh,
sure.
definitely.
That is.
We're
super
gonna be like basically fanboys for the bands on that
Of course.
show. We're just like so
Nice.
thrilled to.
And they might act like they don't like it, but they do.
yeah.
Fan-
Well,
boy
next
on
time we'll
everyone.
have you play with us then.
We would absolutely
All right.
love that. Our drummer, his favorite band of all time. Literally, he
Oh,
was
sick.
devastated that he couldn't be here today. But yeah, so
Nice.
Well,
That,
please
that,
say
that-
hi
please
for
say
us.
hi.
Yes,
all
hi,
right?
drummer.
Shout out Frankie.
What's his name?
Frankie.
Frankie. What's
Yeah.
up, Frankie?
Do you remember your first big festival that you played?
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember.
Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah.
We were. It was insane. It was like the biggest bill you could ever think of. Blink-182, New Found Glory, Jimmy Eat World, Good Charlotte, and
Yeah.
Sum 41 and Simple Plan, and then some
Oh
band
my
called
God.
Project Wise.
And we did not have an album out at that point. Only
What
our
was it
demo was
called?
passing around.
Edgefest
It was
or
It was
Edgefest,
Edgefest in
Edgefest in
Toronto.
Toronto.
And then we got on stage, and at the time, we had a band called Reset back in the day, and we were touring with Blink before they were Blink-182, and so we were kind of friends with Mark and the Blink guys. So Mark was on the show, and it was like, think about it, he's playing at like 9:30 p.m. We're playing at 1 or something,
Yep.
and he comes down to watch us play, and we're like, oh my God, like Mark is on the stage. And we're about to start. I'm about to count the first song, and then Jeff turns around and he's like, his amp is not starting. It's not working.
Yeah.
That's a good cue.
Do you remember
Don't
that?
bring an amp with too many buttons on those festivals. That's
So,
what happened
yeah.
on that night.
So we have to go. It's 1. We're supposed to play,
Yeah.
and nothing is happening, and we can't play. We need Jeff's amp to work, and it's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and I'm losing my. We're on the drums, like everybody's on, like we're
Yeah.
not like backstage, like we're literally on stage. Everybody's watching us, like what are they doing? And Mark's like looking at his watch, like what are these guys doing? And finally it worked, and we're like okay, and we started, and it was like the worst fight. It felt like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But then it went really well.
It went really well because we had a demo that was passing around at that point, and there's this song on it called
It was
The Worst Day
Napster,
Ever.
to be
yeah,
honest,
and
as
Napster
well.
but the worst day ever. And then we get to the like a little like quiet part in the song. The whole crowd started singing the part instead of Pierre, and we're just like, how do they know us? And then
It's
we
the
just kept
first
going.
time
Yeah.
we ever heard a crowd sing
Yeah.
our song back for us, and it
Epic.
was like the most magical moment. And we looked like, we like after the little mishap, we had a really good show, and Mark was like, "Oh, you guys are great," and then he sang on the album, and so it was, it all worked out.
Going back to influences for you guys, do you have any specific sonic influences, like when you go into record, that you always go back to, like whether it be an album or a song that you want the drums to sound like, the guitar, anything like that?
Sort of. I think we
You
kind
guys are like the experts. on
Funny
that.
enough, we reference our old albums a lot on this
I
one.
was gonna say our second record.
Yeah,
sounds
still not getting it.
really good.
That's
so even
good.
for a
Produced the second one.
Bob
Rock,
Rock,
yeah.
He
And
has
we worked
such a
really hard on
huge
guitar
sound,
tones.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's
And-
how long, and that's how self-centered we are.
Yeah,
like, you know,
exactly.
our biggest influence was our second record.
No, that
Well-
makes sense. The 20 years into your career, like a band like yourself, like the fans will sometimes be like, "Oh, we want to hear the old stuff."
Yeah.
It's like give them the sound of the old
But
stuff.
it's not even it's not as much. It was the first record we were really proud of the songs and everything, but sonically we were kind of like disappointed with how the guitars and the drums sounded. So we spoke a lot about like how do we follow up, like what's the thing we need now. And
That's
Bob,
how we got to Bob.
Yeah.
Bob
Like,
was
we
the
won
answer
the
to that.
biggest.
We wanted the
won
big-
the biggest rock record.
Yeah, so we went to Bob and we kind of learned from him, the little tricks that you have to use, to make guitars and drums sound a certain way, and that's why we referenced it back. But there's some great Sum 41 records. You're talking about Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah,
there's some
that
really
Bleed American
great
album.
sounds.
Thrice
Yeah.
also is very often the Marvelous Three.
I think a
that
lot of
Ready,
it Jerry
Set, Go
Finn
album. Yeah,
like
Jerry Finn.
Jerry
stuff, yeah.
Finn's like he was a great producer. He did like Green Day and Blink, and he really kind of created this sort of pop punk template, and I think that was definitely an influence.
And for everything
us.
that's like sonic, like kind of like sparkles on top of it, I kind of like go to other genres, and I try to bring different sounds into the fold, to make it, I guess, more interesting,
yeah.
Yeah, Jeff is like our edge.
Yeah,
The edge,
Jeff.
YouTube kind of vibe.
Because
Like
he plays all the
little-
cool noodly parts, so like
Yeah.
he's like the that sprinkles on top. That's Jeff. Sprinkles. We should call you Sprinkles from day one.
or not.
that looks really good on you.
Yeah, you don't
Sprinkle.
want
Yeah.
that.
All right,
nickname.
all right.
You don't want that nickname.
No.
You've been
we're
known to
doing it.
stage dive at the end of some sets. Has
Yes.
that ever gone wrong?
You know, I've been lucky so far. I think I've acquired a pretty good technique. It's all about your core.
Okay.
You really gotta like use
Stiffen
it
up the
and
middle.
kind of like, and also grab people's hand and direct. So I can really pretty much direct myself wherever I want to go. But when I was 16 years old, the first time I ever Crowdsurf was at a whole concert. I was in Montreal back home. And I got up and I wasn't in the band. And when you're not in the band, they don't care as much.
Yep.
And they dropped me right on my head, like literally I went like this. And I remember this forever. It really hurt. It was not fun. So now I always try to be careful and not have that
Dude,
again.
I
So
gotta tell you, there were some scary moments on the last little run. The
Yeah.
last week, I felt that you almost fell a couple
I
times.
fell a few times. I got about this close to the floor, but they picked me back
Yeah.
up. But I don't know. The key is like is trying to look at people and trying to figure out who's gonna be like sturdy.
Look for big dudes.
Yeah, look for guys or girls are like in the pit and like really like they're like they can handle it.
But
But
he's
there's
literally swimming through the crowd. That's
Oh
what he's
yeah,
like,
I was
yeah,
gonna
like
say,
this,
when you
flipping
say you're
around.
grabbing hands, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're in the ocean. Like,
Oh
you
no,
feel
like
I can
it's
direct
like I
myself.
can and what the funniest thing is that we have our sound guy that's usually pretty far and he's like, I bet you can't high five me today. So I'll actually try to come to all the way back to the soundboard and come back because you can really direct it. Then I'll backflip back. I've kind of mastered it that I can pretty much go where I want, but there's always sometimes a crowd that's not as tight or that's maybe not as used to it, and like sometimes there's little holes. You gotta just avoid these pitfalls.
Little potholes in the
Yeah,
crowd.
exactly. It's like driving. You kind of
Yeah.
have to know where you're going. Little GPS.
Do you guys have a most memorable show you look back on, like one show where you're like, that was us at our peak, craziest crowd, everything, Oasis at Nebworth?
Well, we usually go back to one of the times that we played the sold-out Bell Center where the Montreal Canadiens play in Montreal. We weren't expecting it. 'Cause,
Sports again. I love it.
sports again. Because a year before that,
Our hometown arena.
yeah,
you
because
know?
a year before that, there was a very famous venue in Montreal that holds about 2,000 people, and we couldn't even sell it halfway. And then we came for the Bell Center in 2005, and then the whole thing was completely sold out. And we stepped on stage, and after like 2-3 songs, we had to go like, all right, like they're screaming really loud, and this is like overwhelming. Like we were stoked, we were extremely happy. We took a beat, we're like, this is great, and then we kept going. With
I
the
was
show.
actually crazy, like when because we had this like curtain that fell, and when it
Oh, that's
opened,
the best.
it revealed the whole. Because we hadn't even seen the crowd, and it revealed like it was sold out to the last seat, like the nosebleeds. Everybody was there, and on our left, I'll remember for the rest of my life, like we had a section, we had all our friends and
family.
families and guest list people, and we could see, it was close enough that we could see, like I could see my parents, I could see
That's
like
awesome.
my cousins, my uncles, all the people that helped us to be there, like and they could finally see what the band had done because we had been traveling overseas, we had been going everywhere, and they were aware of the band's career and like how well he was doing, but to see it like that, like viscerally
in the hometown,
being in our hometown, in that famous iconic building. I mean, we got all choked up. We couldn't like the first song, like I couldn't even breathe. It was like, oh my god, this is the best moment, best night of my life.
I'm stoked that we got to do the Warped Tours when they
Yeah.
were, and we did a lot of them too. And it kind of blurs out because the shows, it's pretty similar every single night. But some of those shows were insane. There were
Mayhem.
moments where there was not enough space, for all the people in front of us.
Yeah.
So it was just
One of the coolest Warped Tour moments that I have memory was when, because there was a bit of backlash when Simple Plan played Warped Tour, right? 'Cause
Early
we were-
on, yeah.
And the first years, right? Because we were a little too pop, and people were like, oh, they're not punk enough. And then one day, I remember for the rest of my life, like in Cleveland, Tim Armstrong, and it was Matt Freeman, and it was Lars from Rancid, all came out with Simple Plan t-shirt during their set and played the show. And at that point, I was like, you know what, guys? Like, I mean, if these guys are cool with us, like, we're good. Like,
Yeah.
we belong here, and it was such a statement. And for me as a fan, like, it was one of the bands that I grew up with.
Yeah.
I mean, such an iconic band. For them to give us that endorsement, it was like, okay, we're good.
It's so funny to hear that there was backlash because I feel like you guys are like the quintessential Warped
Well,
Tour
well,
band.
now it kind of makes sense, but back then Warped Tour started out with like really like Lagwagon, like
Yeah.
No Effects, like really more like hardcore punk bands, and the pop punk thing came a little later,
well, 20
into
years ago,
hits history.
yeah, genres didn't mix as much. Like if
Yeah.
you were
It
listening
was
to
a
pop
whole
music,
sellout thing.
pop, and then punk. If you're listening to punk, that's the only thing you were allowed to listen to.
Yeah, I saw you guys twice on Warped Tour. Two
Nice.
great shows, two crazy shows where the whole time the Crowdsurfers just like
Around New York?
let's see. One in Pennsylvania, one in Homdale, New Jersey, PNC
Oh,
Rec
yeah.
Center.
Yeah.
Sick, yeah.
Yeah, two good venues. And the What's New ScoobyDoo theme I'd like to talk about
Sickest
as well.
thing ever.
Because you guys have been playing
The
that
punkest
live,
thing we ever
right?
done.
Yeah.
And as a kid who grew up with that show, I absolutely love it. I see the videos on Twitter, on Instagram, people freaking out when you hit that. What has your relationship with that song been like since you wrote it?
It's so interesting because at the time, this happened in 2002.
It was such a quick event.
The band was not really big yet in the U.S. at least. Like, it wasn't doing very well, and they came with us like with this thing, like, do you want to do this? And we had hesitation. We were like, well, it's cartoons, it's kind of young and childish. I don't know if we should do it. But then we thought, wait a minute, this is like an iconic thing. It's been around for years and years, 50 years plus. Like, we should be a part of this. It's so cool. And
it was part of our youth too.
Yeah,
like,
and
we
we
watched
with
it all the time.
And we get to like the cool thing was that they're like, on top of doing the song, you guys will be part of an episode. So we're like, there's this episode called, you can see on Netflix, it's called Simple Plan and the Invisible Madman, and we actually voiced the characters, and
that's
the whole
awesome.
plot revolves around going to a Simple Plan a concert in Montreal and
Yeah.
in the snow and all that, and we got the voice. So it was like really cool, and we did that, and we put that aside, and 10 years go by, nobody ever talked to us about ScoobyDoo, like ever. Nobody would
Yeah, it
mention
kind
it.
of like disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
And then the last 3-4 years, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's TikTok or whatever. But now it's like people are losing their minds when we played. It's like the coolest thing we ever done. It's, this song is slaps. It's the best theme song of all time.
does.
And it's like, wow. And now we play live, and people go crazy. We hadn't played live in 15 years.
I think those voiceovers took like 2 hours. And our accents were so thick.
So
our French accents were so thick.
it's
back then.
hard to do, man. To like,
It's
really,
actually
really
how they
difficult.
speak. Like, yes, that's how they speak. Okay, then.
Okay, let's try to get
And the invisible
interpreter
madman
in there.
Yeah. It's
But, like,
badass though. How many bands have done a Scooby-Doo episode? Kiss, Guns N' Roses, Simple Plan.
True.
There you
That's
go.
it.
And what's crazy is that, after all the hesitations that we had, this has led so many fans to the band. Like, there's so many people tell us, like,
Yeah.
this is how we discovered you. This is the reason why we're fans today. So it's like, it just goes to show that as long as you do something, and I think the arrangement and the song, like, it sounds like Simple Plan.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like we did something that didn't feel right. Like, it felt really cool at the time, and we were proud of it. And sure enough, 20 years later,
It's kind of crazy now because I think a lot of fans were too young back then to actually come to the shows.
Definitely. Yeah.
And now they're old
I
enough.
was 4 in 2002.
That's
and now I think it's the coolest
See,
thing in the
but,
world.
but I hear those stories all the time. Like people
Yeah.
telling me I was 6, I was 4.
I
you
wasn't
know.
born
My
sometimes.
older brother was actually listening to you, and I was not allowed in his room, kind of thing. You know, I hear those stories all the time. So it's kind of cool now because people always ask me, who comes to a Simple Plan show? It's obviously the fans, from the way back, but it's also a lot of newer people.
Yep.
And even like I think it's Spotify, YouTube, the social, any social media. People get exposed to it now through, I guess, referencing or the algorithm, the mighty algorithm.
It works in our
my
favor
God.
these days.
Hear the algorithm. We hear about that all the time. Don't say algorithm. Don't say the A word. I don't want to hear it anymore.
It's
Do you
pretty
guys
cool.
notice, like, was there an uptick when, like, the I'm Just a Kid TikTok goes viral and stuff? Like,
Oh, dude.
is that palpable for you?
I bought
yeah.
a boat.
Fuck yeah, good for you.
Yeah, we were able to do so many things because of that. No, actually, it's been kind of insane. Like, and it's so interesting because it happened during the pandemic, right? We were all sitting at home, and this thing takes off on TikTok. And at first, to be honest, we really had no idea what was going on. It's like, what?
A dance?
What's
Same.
that?
And that was Musically, so it was just like some dancing
Yeah.
thing. We're
Yeah,
not
we
into
really
that,
felt
you
it
know?
wasn't a place for us at all. It really felt like, okay, this is not for our types of band. And then the thing kept on getting bigger, and people like, you guys should really be paying attention to this. It's blowing up. And finally, we decided to, like, you know what? Let's just lean into it and let's have fun with it. Just be ourselves, and we don't have to be like a certain way. We can just be Simple Plan on TikTok.
Yeah.
And now it's like our biggest platform we have. We have like 1.2 million followers, and all our streams went up. I'm Just a Kid is the biggest song we ever had now.
A gajillion plays.
It's been insane, and it has billions of impressions, and we're just having fun with it and
Good,
going
yeah.
and doing our thing on there. And so many fans, I read the comments like, oh my God, it's so great that you guys are popping up on my For You page. Like, I've lost track of you guys, but now I know you're back, and now I want to be a fan again. And it's like, all these fans are reconnecting with our music and our song and the band, and it's been amazing. It's been a blessing, to be honest.
Another great collab I'd like to ask you guys about is the State Champs We the Kings song. Love that song. Love both of those bands. Who are your favorite bands that have come after you in the scene?
I think state champs and We the Kings for sure.
Probably, yeah.
All-time low, I think.
I like Water Parks. They're very original.
Yeah.
Great
band.
This band that we have, well, there's 2 bands that we have on this tour, actually. That's why we took them on tour.
Set It Off and Magnolia Park.
Magnolia Park. I think these last guys are doing an amazing job. We actually, the reason why they're on this tour is because of TikTok. They would come up on the band's feed, and I was kind of going, and they kept coming back, and I was like, man, this song is badass. This band is hard. Like they're amazing, and also it's really cool because it's more diversity in the scene. There's not a lot of bands that are diverse like them, and you know what? It's like we want to try to give a platform to these types of bands because we want the scene to be, like open to everyone. So it was really cool to have them. They were amazing, super nice guys, and they come on stage and sing I'm Just a Kid every night with us and Set It Off, same thing. So yeah, it's been a blast, and so I think I feel like these bands
would be them.
I even heard you guys say there was like Tom Morello influence on this last album, a little bit of that.
It's possible.
Just because I pulled out the whammy pedal, which is really
for some solos,
very associated with again, as I said, I kind of steal, from different genres.
Well, this album has 3 guitar solos, and we hadn't had guitar solos
really
in
not
3 albums.
I think.
Yeah,
it's more than ever.
Yeah.
And Rage Against the Machine for us, I mean, for me, I don't know, as a teenager, was one of my most favorite band. It was huge.
I just got to see them live for the first time last week at the Garden.
How was it?
It was unbelievable.
Sick.
Truly one of the best concerts I've ever seen.
And the singer's good?
He was so good, and he tore his Achilles.
Right. Yeah.
Because he canceled a lot of shows.
Canceled all the European shows.
Right.
The MSG shows were actually their last shows of the tour.
Okay.
But he sat on just a gearbox the entire show, and he brought as much energy as you would ever
expect.
He
didn't have the Dave Grohl throne and the
no,
whole deal. No, that's unfortunate.
He didn't do the light setup or anything like that. I ask this question to all of the musicians and bands that I have on my show. It's kind of my final question. Noel Gallagher of Oasis once said that he summed up everything he's ever wanted to say with rock and roll star, live forever, and cigarettes and alcohol. If you could pick 3 Simple Plan songs that sum up everything the band has ever wanted to say, what would you pick?
Perfect, for sure.
Yeah, Perfect's gonna be one of them.
Yeah. Welcome to My Life.
Probably. Those 2 for sure. They got to be up there.
And third one, I'll let you guys.
Let's pick a third one. Let's pick one of the recent ones to just kind of tie it all in.
I would say Iconic.
Probably.
I feel like it's kind of it's the message of the whole band of our whole careers to kind of believe in yourself and don't let people tell you that you can't do something, and then you can be whatever you want, and just kind of it's going to be hard. There's going to be hardship. There's going to be moments where things don't go your way, but if you kind of stick with it and stay resilient, things are better on the other side. There's always a hopeful message, I think, with Simple Plan. So I think that would be the one.
Not quite as sex, drugs, and rock and roll as Noel's quotes, but hey.
We're a bit different.
We should have picked ScoobyDoo, My Alien and Vacation.
Are you Oasis fans? I know you guys have done Wonderwall into Perfect before.
Pierre, always kind of
what's with that?
It's not really on the set list. He just kind of
He
kind of spontaneously decides to play it once in a while, and people go crazy and
people
love
go
it.
mental. Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's one of the best.
Best campfire song of all time.
Of course. Of all time. Someone brings out a guitar.
You can't go wrong with that. So you should do that yourself. You can't go wrong with that one.
Yeah.
We do it all.
You do it.
It's on there. Don't worry.
Smart.
All right. Simple Plan. See them at Pier 17 tonight if you're listening to this on release day, and Asbury Park, Stone Pony the next 2 days, right?
Yes,
That's
correct.
Right.
2 nights
awesome.
in Jersey.
2 great venues.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.